I'm here to prove that I can win a karting championship with only sim racing experience. It's been quite underwhelming so far, but I have a feeling that today could be the turning point. Last time out at Daytona Sandown Park, we took part in our first Superchamps event, the highest quality karting event I could find near me. The goal was to see how well my experience from sim racing would translate into the real world, but I was consistently stuck in the mid-pack and struggled to collect critical championship points. As someone who had never done karting seriously like this before, it was hugely humbling to get a taste of this competitive world and the physical challenges it presents, although I was left wanting way more because I was all the way down in 9th in the championship. I learned a ton and today presented a new opportunity to get myself into the mix finally of the championship. That is, if I can pull something out of the bag. So we're back in the first round of, or second round actually, of Sandown. We've got a big, tough event today, but the goal is to try and make up as many rounds as we possibly can. As many positions as we can. We're sat in like P8 at the moment. So we'll see what happens. So qualifying's done and all focus is now onto the first of the two races today. And to be fair, I was actually feeling pretty hyped to make up some positions here, as everyone had been reallocated to a different kart to the one that they drove in qualifying. So I was pretty hopeful to see that, whether hopefully I would have more power in the straights. So it's worth noting that this first race is known as a shootout, or like a sprint. So there aren't many points to earn in this one, but you do earn your starting position for the 25-minute long Grand Prix race that we'll do afterwards, and that's where the points haul really is made. So as we come around the final corner here to start the race, notice how early the leader goes, catching tons of drivers off guard actually, really letting them as leaders pull a gap, but they also bunch the rest of the pack up. Luckily though, I managed to just about break away and find myself in a little bit of space. And coming around turn 3, check this out. The driver ahead locks up his rears and bashes another driver off, but that is a position gain for us, so not too bad given the circumstances. Now we skip on a couple laps onto lap 3 and you can see that the cars ahead, we're starting to close the gap. Pace is looking good, we're down in P8 at the moment, but there's potential here, as you can see with the kart ahead gets a great run, goes up onto the inside and pushes the 145 kart a bit out wide, and that allows a gap just big enough for us to poke our nose in, and we get up into P7. But literally just a few corners later, watch this, I'm trying to get ahead on the karts ahead, but I give a bit of a bump and straight away he's back ahead of us. Now this driver ahead, his name's Frederick Navarro, really quick young lad. And the battle was brewing for ages in this race. So what I needed is something to happen, and that's exactly what happened right here, with Frederick getting side by side with the 131 kart and managing to hold it around the outside, and he actually shows some great straight line speed there off the exit to get ahead. But the problem now is that I've got a kart in between myself and Frederick, so I've got to do something about that. So literally seconds later, the kart ahead goes a bit wide after getting a great toe into turn 1, allowing me up to get back behind Frederick. And for a few laps after, we were holding the gap when we actually approached some traffic, and that bunched me up and allowed a brand new kart to get through that we hadn't even seen before, as he gets up into my inside for turn 1. And at this point, seeing him alongside me, I knew that that was going to be me down a position. And just like that, the three of us were in a train for pretty much the rest of the race. We were all so close on pace that no gaps were really opening up. We managed to gap the cars behind, but ultimately we ended up coming across the line as a 3, but with me worse off out of us. I can't lie, it was a fun race, But results wise, once again I was stuck. I honestly didn't really show any blistering pace in that. So at this point I just felt like P8 and P9 is where I was going to be for the whole season. But this next race is where genuinely my whole season turned upside down. This is it then, the Grand Prix. Our chance to make up some points and gain some positions in the championship. The whole day has really been building up to this moment, but I have to do everything in my power to break out of that mid-pack where I keep getting stuck. This is it then. I've just got to keep my head, just got to keep my cool, and with that hopefully I'll be in a position to capitalise on any opportunities that present themselves for me. There's the green flag, so we're off, and we get a pretty solid start. Primarily though, focus on not doing anything too stupid into the first few corners, as we're in a pretty good position for our standards of the start of this race. Coming into turn 2 though, there's the usual kind of aggressive moves, and I actually get a massive whack up the back of the kart, which pushes me through the gap that's been opened with that guy that I'm side by side with, and we managed to get a great drive out of it to get into P6. And straight away I was thinking about a move on that guy in the blue, but thought against it because the gap was closing, and then suddenly a huge moment as I managed to get a double overtake to get up into P4, and now suddenly looking ahead I have a view I haven't had this whole season, and it is of a relatively clear track. There aren't many people ahead, and this is when in my head something really clicked here, as there's a huge opportunity ahead of me to get some huge points. My biggest fear though was that I would be pushed back into the pack behind me, and I really needed to get past this 1-3-4 kart. So as soon as I saw a gap, I saw it up the inside into turn 2 in actually a really good move where he left the gap open and I managed to send it, and suddenly I'm up into P3 as well. However, racing at this level, people are pretty good. It's the whole point of it, and that means though that you have to look after your position once you get it, and unfortunately let's just say I left the gap open, and the 1-3-4 kart did manage to come back at me side by side through the back section of corners, and he's got the inside into the final corner, and that means that we're going to be, he's got the inside for turn 1, and that's me effectively resigned back down to P4. Now I'm still terrified of all the cars behind, so I still tried to hold it round his outside, but again he just, he's just not having any of it. There's no space there, well defended. This is going to be a tough race. So skipping on by a lap, I'm still right on his tail. There's got to be an opportunity soon. We're holding pace to the leaders. This is my opportunity, and a gap actually opens up. So I go for it, up onto the inside, but then it closes and it's a bit of a clunky move. But in response to it, in the corner afterwards, I do actually get a really nice exit, and there's a big gap here that I've created for myself. So I send it out the inside, hold a tight line. I'm not going to make the same mistake as I did last time when I made the overtake. So now just going to go slightly defensive. You can see I'm slightly offline and managed to get to the apex. And that's it. That's P3. Now look at the guy in blue behind the 1-3-4 kart that we just overtook. A little collision, a little bump, and suddenly we found ourselves gapping him massively by just getting a clean exit. And ultimately, unfortunately, we just managed to escape the whole pack of cars behind that would have made it impossible for us to catch the leader. So that was a big success right there, and a key moment of the race. Now we're all eyes ahead on that P2 kart just up ahead. That's Tom Brown. He is the championship leader of my category. So I'm in the lightweight class, and he's winning the whole thing at the moment. He's poled it. He's got a reputation for being rapid. So I've got my work cut out for me. But little by little, I dug away at that gap, and actually a couple laps later where we've skipped to, I'm actually right behind him. And Tom knows it too. I caught this glimpse of him shaking his head, and that was my cue that he was well aware that I was there. And it also told me though that the move was on here. He was not happy. That's a good sign from a competitive point of view. Now I've got time on my hand here because I have pulled a little bit of a gap over the karts behind, but even though Tom's the championship leader and we're out at the front, I really don't want to take too long with this move, because it will, again, I'll just get sucked back into the mid-pack. So I made up my mind at this point of the race that left-hand corner where I made a move on the 134 kart earlier was where I wanted to do it. I knew that if I got a good exit out of this corner, the move could be on. So hard on the power, nice and early, get a good exit, and you can see, and now I knew that the move was on. Up to the inside, hard on the brakes, following the curb nicely round. A really, really clean move, actually, if I can say so myself. And we get a good exit. I made a mistake earlier about letting the 134 kart up my inside, so I'm not going to do that again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a move for P2 against a Rapido driver, which is really, really good. And now head down. That is honestly what matters now. However, I mentioned earlier that at this level you really can't hang about because people are always there looking for moves. So Tom goes up the inside, where I got the run on him last lap out. But to be fair, and this is a huge thing with karting, I really felt here like I had almost a bit of an unfair advantage because my kart had amazing top end. It was something I really struggled with in every other race. This one I've got pretty good top end, especially compared to Tom, who I think was suffering a bit, to be fair, in his thing, because, you know, I just managed to get runs a bit easier than normal. But that's part of karting. And another big part of karting, especially when you're up the front, are back markers. And this is the first one that we're encountering. So hopefully I don't get held up too much behind him, but it actually looks like a pretty smooth running where I get through. Tom's still not past the 148 back marker. So it looks like we've actually navigated that pretty good. Literally those seconds later, we're up against two more back markers who we've caught. And this time actually we get much more unlucky, going to the inside, but the back markers are actually battling, and I end up losing all my drive out of the exit. It looks like the 137 there spotted us and kind of led us both through, but as you can see, Tom's right on my tail, and this is especially where I've got to be careful, because if I overtake back markers in ways where Tom can get through like this, then, you know, I'm in deep trouble. So at this point I just have to make sure I get a good drive out this next corner, because if I don't, then I'm stuffed. And to be honest though, you can see I get on the power, get a good exit, but you know, there's got to be a bit of advantage in my engine, I think, on my kart with that kind of exit, which is part of it. You know, I've had poor engines, and I would say, in every race so far, so it felt quite nice really to be able to drive away. And we're now in arguably the hardest phase of the race, because I've done all the moves, I've done the hard work, but now I have to be disciplined and strong and just hold it all together, basically, because this is seriously physical. It's tough on the mind to hit all the apexes continuously, especially this is a 25-minute race, and after doing qualifying sessions and other races, this will put me up to about an hour's worth of kart time, and it's really physical. And all the way around there's this little timing board that you can see showing how many minutes are left of the race, and it's a bit like when you're going on a run and you're in your own head the whole time, just honestly really tired, and every minute seems to take forever, and the possibility of making a mistake grows higher every lap that you go. But we keep going, and actually we pull out a gap on Tom, and we have a bit of a safety net, and things are looking remarkably good, considering I was P8, P9 in the mid-pack, not really showing any promise of this kind of speed just a few minutes ago. But we're right back in amongst it, as there are two more back markers, one of them wearing a Mercedes F1 overall, just like what Tom is wearing behind. But we get past one back marker, and then we can see our favourite overtaking spot, a little send, and there we go. And skipping on another lap and a bit of deja vu, another back marker who we actually politely say thank you to, because that was also nice and smooth. And now we literally just have a few laps left at most. We've got a gap, we're comfortable, we're confident in the pace. The turnaround in this race have been absolutely incredible, and I cannot believe, to be fair, that I actually managed to get up to this position and hold my own so strongly. And now we're on the final lap, coming around the final corner to take second overall in the race, first place in my lightweights category that I've been competing in, maximum points haul that I can get as a result. What a result. And always nice to have some good respect with your fellow drivers as well. Honestly, it's really good fun this. If you've never done karting, I know a lot of my viewers mainly into sim racing, but if you ever get the chance to enter into a championship like this, you got to do it. It's really fun.
Is that second?
Yeah.
Get in there, Luis. Yeah. Oh, we did it. We got a good kart. We got a good kart. Came from 8th straight up onto 4th, and then I just made up positions, got into 2nd, and then I was holding pace with the leader pretty much, and then just fighting through that traffic. Very, very pleased.
7, where is Tobin Leigh? There he is. Very, very happy to have won this afternoon. Stand up proud. Looking this way for one final smile. Pretend you enjoyed yourselves.
So yeah, that is it, round 2 done. And we have achieved a win in class, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it goes to beg the question, you know, with sim racing, probably, I think this is a proof that, first of all, kart matters massively. The kart that we get, you know, can have a huge impact on how fast we actually are. But I think once I got that good kart, you know, came from 8th and managed to get all the way up to 2nd, which was first in the lightweight category, because Bobby up in the lead just absolutely beasted it with another good kart. I was speaking to him after the race, and yeah, really happy. I mean, to win in class after, you know, that was my first time driving this layout, so I'm well happy, mate. I'm well happy. So yeah, thanks for watching anyway. Oh yeah, and like 92% of people that watched the last video didn't subscribe, so make sure you subscribe.